I think like any parents, we wanted to have a child that would know the Lord. You want them to grow up and learn and grow and mature and experience all that this life has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As parents, I had very immature expectations, I think as most brand new parents do, where you don't really think of your child as being an individual, a separate entity. They're a part of you, so it's almost like they're an accessory, and you're thinking about how you're going to dress them up and show them off, and you know how they're going to be the most wonderful child in the whole wide world, and you're going to be the proudest parent ever. And I think you go into it that way as a new parent until your child is born, and then you bond and realize things are a little bit different.
We wanted to have sweet, loving children who would listen to everything we said, and they'd be cute and athletic and smart, and they'd all go to college and do exactly what we wanted.
Well, yeah, of course having a child with a disability makes that a lot different. I thought when he was first born that all those dreams were dashed, and instead it probably has been magnified. I think, for instance, when you wait 2.5 years for a kid to walk, when they finally do, that's a pretty amazing thing, and it's a pretty remarkable thing for a parent to go through. So I think we celebrate achievement even more now, and I sometimes feel like I'm probably prouder than I would have been with a typically developing child. And I also think that I think that I brag a lot more than most people do. So I think friends actually leave our house often envious.
And I think you also adapt your expectations to the results that you have with your children up to that point. So in other words, you first think they're all going to be geniuses and not going to get any trouble or anything. And all of a sudden you have some problems and you realize that's what life is all about. So you realize that you live your life one day at a time and you accept what comes and do the best with it. Well, a lot of it was from older people, the negative. I mean, just referring to them as mongoloid, and just you have to get rid of them, put them away. And, that was the way they were looked at one time. And needless to say, we didn't accept that, and certainly didn't follow through with any of that. And as a result, we ended up with a pretty good kid.
I don't think our expectations have really changed much at all. One thing I always say, people are always amazed by Selah, and we're not so much amazed because we expect much from her. We expect her to do what everyone else is doing. We expect her to behave the same way. We expect her to learn as much as she can in the same way. And those were our expectations, that she would really live a life just like anybody else would.
First big mistake I made was I went to the library and got a book out, opened it up, and the first chapter said the decision whether to institutionalize your child or not. I mean, have you seen those like horror movies where you open a book and blood comes out? And that's exactly what I did. I literally threw it across the room, and I demanded the library take it off the shelf when I took it back. But I did use mostly the internet. The internet is a wonderful, wonderful tool for parents of children with disabilities. You can just find so much. But other parents too, seeking out parents who've been there, done that is probably the best resource a new parent can find. I tried very hard to look at where he was and where he is now as a way of measuring his achievement. When I start to measure him compared to children who develop typically, it's always going to throw me down. It's always going to knock me down. I read a wonderful blog the other day where a woman talked about when you use a measuring stick to compare your children, that you're really using it as a weapon to beat down your soul. And nothing could be more truer. It's difficult to watch my son when he interacts with typically developing peers, sometimes because the differences become so apparent. But I also have to think that their accomplishments, given what they have to work with, are minor compared to my son's accomplishments, given what he has to work with.
I think that,
Definitely language.
I've talked about this in class as well, that sometimes with kids with special needs, what happens is their strengths and their weaknesses are more pronounced. So in other words, the things that they're weak in, they're really weak in, and the things that they're strong in, they're really strong in. And so, and I think I see that with her. Like there's areas of weakness, and they're pretty overt, and then there's areas of strengths that are just incredible. Yeah.
She did receive early intervention services. She's received the teacher in the home and speech in the home early on. Eventually we ended up getting all of the services, but early on she received those too. And personally for me, it was a very humbling experience working in the field. I found it quite humbling just having someone come into my home and tell me what I should and could be doing with my child. But that being said, it was very, very beneficial, because it's nice to have someone come in and just, when it's your own child, you sometimes forget things and you want to see different things. And so it was really, really beneficial, and we attribute a lot of her success to early intervention.
I think what we do is we advocate for her to get the same treatment and to really be treated as a typical child as possible. And so if that means working one-on-one with her teachers or speaking with someone individually, we're willing to do that. We don't really get a lot involved in a lot of the political advocacy over Down syndrome. And it's not that we have anything against those individuals that do that. It's just for us as a family, we've just, since Selah is our only child, she's really all we know. And so we really don't think of her, based on the diagnosis. It's always there and it's always in the back of our mind, but for us, we just always advocate for her the way we would any child that we would have had, per se.
But in the beginning, the lessons I learned about the best ways to advocate are, number one, listen. It's very hard to not listen as a parent, because we have our own ideas and we're searching for that validation, and we want to raise our children. And so I learned to listen. I learned also I always try to say that I try to not react and instead think and then reply. So those are big things. Communication is key. No one can help your child or help you if they don't know everything about them. I think the biggest mistake some parents make is trying to keep some information secret. You have to be honest, and especially when talking with your IEP team, let them know everything about your child, everything they possibly can know. How can they teach them if they don't know all there is to know?
They went to the Rainbow School and Easter Seals.
Can you tell me about those schools?
They were, Easter Seals was an integrated nursery school. So there were regular kids mixed in with special needs kids. And they had wonderful teachers. It was a very good program.
He doesn't feel like it's not him just sitting in a classroom working on his own stuff while everybody else is doing something else. The key to inclusion is exactly that he is doing what the other kids are doing, just a little bit different.
It's really just a lot of communication. It's just making sure that all the teachers are communicating with Christine, that they're sending stuff home with us, they're giving us notes when good things happen, they're giving us notes when bad things happen. So it really requires a lot of communication, just making sure everyone's on the same page.
You don't have to be an advocate. You just have to be an advocate for your child. And any parent that knows their rights, or even knows to question their rights, to just question anything that doesn't sound right, to demand that their wants and their opinions are validated. That's a really important piece. And so I encourage parents to find out as much as they can and to speak up.
He would always be assigned to a regular class, but when you'd go there for back to school night, Matt's pictures were never hung up. You never saw any evidence that he was there.
But at Penn State, it was,
Penn State, he was
Right.
fully in regular classes with regular Penn State students.
so really for Matt, it's just a matter of continuing to live life the way he's lived it. I mean, what can he improve on? Right?
Yep.
I think when he was little, we were probably scared that, what would happen if we died and what would happen to him. But now I think any of our kids would probably take him in, but mostly I think Andy would take care of him.
I don't think so, but there, but I live myself. I didn't
Well, you could live all by yourself.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Well, of course, as I said, when I was pregnant, I was going to have a genius that was, a rocket scientist. Now, I realize that whereas Carl is extremely smart, he's probably not going to, break any academic records. But as I said before, when you learn that your child is an individual and a person, and that this is somebody who is unique and special to themselves, you start to understand that happiness is more important than success. And happiness comes from being an inclusive member and a productive member of your society and your community and your family. So those are the way I vision him now. I always try to picture mostly what he wants for himself. It's not about me. And where he's going to be in this future is going to be up to him, but I want him to be happy.
Selah wants to be a Geneva College student.
Yes, I do.
And so that's her goal. That's my goal. I want her to experience everything that she can experience, K through 12. I want her to be able to go to college. I want her to be able to get a job. I want her to be able to have her own life.
I want her to get married if she wants to get married.
Yeah, I want her to get married. She's already lining some people up, I think.
Yeah, I see.
She'll be a very good housekeeper. She'll make a happy husband.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the same expectations I think we would have. It's realistic expectations. It's not that we're being unrealistic, but the fact is we truly believe that the future is held in God's hands. And so, I'm not going to worry about what things are like when she's 18 or 21 or 30 or something like that. I'm concerned about her being 10. And then we'll take 11 when it comes, and we'll just go from there. So, but we've always felt that we have to have high expectations because a child will always attempt to live up to those high expectations. And if you set low expectations, a child will attempt to live up to low expectations. So for us, we always have high ones.
I think that if they love them and treat them like regular kids, they'll turn out a lot better than if they're overprotective and don't let them experience life.
I feel the same way. I think a lot of Matt's successes in life are as a direct result of the fact we have treated him as just one of our children. And we've also had high expectations for him. We haven't accepted improper behavior or low achievement. We just haven't. We haven't pressured him, but we also have not accepted it. So as a result, he's done well. He's done well.
The one thing I always say is presume competence. That's all. Don't have preconceived notions. In the advocacy community, we use something we call people first language, and that means we don't say, I don't have a Down's kid, I don't have a Down syndrome kid. I have a person here, and he's a person who has Down syndrome. It's what he has, it's not what he is. So we don't never let, and that's for new parents as well, don't let the label define your child. Don't take what you know or what you think you know about Down syndrome and think that that's going to be what your child is going to become or what that child is when you're looking at a child with Down syndrome, because it's completely different. As I said, support group, 10 families in there, not one kid was alike, not one kid had all those same qualities that they'll try to tell you, or those manifestations of the disability that they try to say all kids with Down syndrome have. They're all different.
It's an incredible blessing. It's an incredible calling. I would say that what you probably do need to do is take all the parenting handbooks that you have and pass them on to someone else, because they don't apply to you. Things are different, but it's a good kind of different, and you need to sort of embrace that. That.
I guess I would say do what you would normally do. Expect what you would normally expect.
Yeah, it's really the same format of any child. Love them a lot, discipline them, appreciate them, and watch them grow and be pleasantly surprised. There's not a lot changes. Depending on the medical conditions, you may have to adapt a little bit, but overall, it's the same formula. It's just different, but it's a good kind of different.
I play golf and baseball and bowling.
I'm a dead watcher out there. I work so hard to my feet.
My spaces are library, music, gym, and art, and library.
Do you like those?
Yeah, I do.
Which one's your favorite?
Gym.
Gym? What do you do at gym class?
We run around, do exercising and stuff like that.
My favorite thing in high school, I done a football team every Friday night with Jenny Lee. She was there every single time I saw her there.
Who's Jenny Lee?
Jenny Lee, my teacher in high school.
I clean my room, I put stuff away, and this, dust.
What's on your list every day when you come home from school?
Dishwasher.
Do you play the cymbals at school?
Yeah,
And where else?
and I play at the marching band.